In this video, we're going to do a usability case study of a mobile application. We're going to take a look at a journey from its inception all the way to its current form. Now, why do we need to consider usability? Aren't most programmers good usability experts as well? Well, not necessarily. I wrote an application that can search plants by color, GPS and photograph plants, let you submit plants for sale, and also submit bloom dates among several other things. I was really happy to have this app live and on the Play Store. And when I released it, my wife said, "Can you make it look like an app?" And I didn't really think about this. I thought, well, it functionally works. It can search by color and do all these great things, but it doesn't look pretty. So I want to show you the before and the after-er. The reason is I redesigned the app several years ago to make it more user-friendly, and then I realized I had a PowerPoint presentation with a bunch of photographs of the original look and feel, and that's how I made this presentation, with those original photographs. Well, guess what? Years go by, preferences change, I redesigned the app yet again, and so now I'm back to this original PowerPoint, adding even more updated screenshots from yet a third generation, so we can kind of look at this thought as we went through here. First of all, when you would open the app, this is the main menu. This is the original version that I released to the Play Store in 2013. Now, what are your first thoughts? Well, it's kind of hard to have a first thought because it is very overwhelming. There are a lot of words on here, and words take time to read. What we typically recommend with Android or mobile in general is don't have a splash screen. Definitely do not have a main menu, and hold off log on until absolutely required. In other words, don't make your first screen a logon screen. That tends to turn off users. Let them play with your app as much as they can, and only when you need to know who they are, then force them to log on. Now, what's wrong with the main menu screen? Don't we want to show everything that we can do? Well, the problem is we're not saying what's important. Change your preferences. How often are you going to log in just to change your preferences? Or how often are you going to come to this app just to change your preferences? That's something you're not going to do every day. As a matter of fact, we want to de-emphasize preferences and have an app that just works well for everybody right out of the box. Most people are going to come to search by color. So why make them click on the search by color button? So here's what the main menu screen looks like afterwards. You're reading this correctly. It's gone. In mobile applications, we want the first screen to be the screen that the user wants to use 80% of the time. So there's no main menu screen after all. What I thought is, okay, what is the user going to want to do with the application? Of all the things an average user can do, are they going to want to enter bloom dates? Probably not. Search by color? Yeah, that one probably so. So I just took them straight into the search by color screen. So this is the second generation that we're looking at here. Now, what do you think about this? It's a bit simpler because we don't have to go to the main menu, but there's still a lot of text, a lot of things the user has to read. So in the most recent generation, here's what that same screen looks like. You see that where it used to be take new photo or open existing image, now there's just a picture of a camera and a picture of a folder. So a lot less text, a lot easier to digest. One thing I also want to point out is look at the menu across the top. The most important items are there. GPS of plant and map of plants. If you want anything else, and this is the app running in an emulator, you have to make one more click here and go to the side menu. The idea is these are things that are less important. The things that are most important are the most easy to see and to click on. Also notice there is not a menu option for the screen that we're currently on. In other words, there's not an option where you can go to the screen we're currently on. More on that in just a moment. Okay, search by color. Here's what it looked like originally. And what it would do is you take a photo, and it would find the top 16 colors, or at that time it was 12 colors. It'd find the top 12 colors. But the problem is, look at the colors it found. Now, name a green plant. They're all green. So putting up green was kind of misleading to a user because I didn't have any results for that. So when I changed it so that it would only show colors where there were results, once again, resulting in fewer clicks for a user. You don't click on the green, see there are no plants, and then you're disappointed, and then you have to come back. Instead, I show only the colors that actually have matching plant records. Take a look at this photo of a redbud tree. You see the sky is the predominant color, but there's no blue in the results. It's only the very rich colors of these redbud blooms. Now, if I turn the filter off, take a look. This is the top 16 colors it sees. They're all blue. So it's actually a toggle. You can turn it on or off, just because it's kind of interesting to see it both ways. Now, search by color. What it would do originally if you wanted to open an existing image is it would show you the file name. Now, what use is that? You have no idea what the image looks like by the file name. So these are generation 2 and generation 3. You see here I use the image gallery, so it's showing the photos that are actually saved on the phone's SD card. Okay, plant results before, when you would search by color, it would give you the name of plants that have that color. Search by plant results afterwards, you see here, it shows the picture as well as the plant name. Now that might sound obvious, but in reality it is a little bit tricky to pull down these pictures and do it in a responsive manner. I had to get them resized and I had to go fetch them, things like that. So nonetheless, once again, pictures are better than words, and you see this is a much better user experience. Okay, the big one. This was the screen to GPS a plant. Look at everything that's going on here. It's very busy, isn't it? So we have latitude and longitude, then an option to pause GPS. Select a plant takes you to another screen where you enter plant search criteria and then you press search. That takes you to a results screen. You pick something from the results screen and then it populates this little area right over here. Then you type in where the plant is, a description of the plant, save it to phone, show saved, upload plants, take a photo of a plant, associate it with the collection. I knew when I wrote this screen it was a very busy screen, and I tried very carefully to take every widget off of the screen that I didn't absolutely need, and this is what I ended up with, but I still knew it was too much. So what I encourage you to do, pause the video now. I won't waste your time and pause my talking, but pause your video now. Look at the screen and think about every widget here and which ones you would take off. Because I did figure out ways to take off some widgets, and that's what I'm going to show you in the next iterations of this screen. So this is the first iteration. Second iteration, you see how this is a much more clean look and feel. Okay, first and second. One of the big ones you'll see is that this select plant box is gone. Instead, it's an autocomplete right here for plant name. So you start typing and it figures out which plant you want. Location and description, different boxes, and just a whole lot of less stuff. Notice there's no upload button. Now that's interesting. How do we get rid of the upload button? Well, I noticed I typically uploaded photos from my phone when I was plugged in charging and on Wi-Fi. But guess what? Our phone knows that too. The phone knows when it's plugged in charging and on Wi-Fi. So I set up something called a broadcast receiver. It's similar to what happens when you take a phone into a Bluetooth-enabled car and it switches to Bluetooth. That's through a broadcast receiver. So I set up a broadcast receiver to listen for Wi-Fi and also plugged in charging, and then I just do the synchronization in the background. A user doesn't know what upload is, so why complicate the view? Okay, so this is second iteration. Let's look at current iteration. Whoop, just a moment. Oh, yeah, that's a look at the autocomplete, sorry. Let's look at the current iteration. This is the current iteration, even more simple yet. So this is one where I've taken a photo and it shows a thumbnail of the photo, but this is the original look and feel of the screen, which is comparable to this. So just kind of remember what this looks like and what this looks like. This one over here on the left. Much, much simpler than the original look and feel. And it's still doing all the same stuff, just with a lot fewer widgets. So we still have the autocomplete, but take a look at something else. Notice that the labels are no longer to the left of the text field. They're now inside the text field, and that's something called a hint. So in Android, that's called a hint. So I'll go to the live screen now and take a look. As soon as I click into plant name and I start typing, that hint goes away. And notice the autocomplete. So you see Cercis canadensis Eastern Redbud. Now it knows what plant that is. Let me show you what the old flow looked like. If I go to add plants for sale, this is a screen that I haven't bothered to update just because it doesn't get a lot of use. and I kind of like the old school look and feel, so I can show it off. So this is where you're a retailer and you can add a plant for sale. Notice we start with select a plant. Notice that's a click. It takes us to another screen. I type in Eastern. I see Eastern Redbud. Now I have to find the search button. I hit search. Okay, little breakpoint fired. I'm just going to need to release that. There we go. Here's our Cercis canadensis Eastern Redbud. Yet one more click, and now we're all the way back to the original screen. So you see, that is a whole lot of clicks, where in the GPS a plant screen, all I need to do is start typing, and it figures out what I'm doing. I could even start typing something new, like the word foo, and then it's going to recognize that's a new plant. It's going to take me to a screen where I can enter a brand new plant. So it's smart enough to know if this is a plant that already exists, or if it needs to make a brand new record. Okay, also notice on the GPS a plant screen, notice that we have a menu option for search by color, but not GPS a plant, because we're currently on the GPS a plant screen. So whatever screen is currently showing, that menu option goes away from this top bar here, because there again, that's one less click, that's one less piece of clutter. Okay, so a few other things that I'll point out. We want to think about the rest of these buttons. Do I really need a Show My Plant Collection button? That's what this guy is here, and it takes us to a little list. I can search this list. Probably not. I could probably get rid of that because it shows the same things on Map of Plants. It shows anything that you've mapped. Photo, definitely want that. But the Save button I could possibly do away with. I'll go ahead and put in a location here, so we'll say Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden, and then I'll just mark test here. So I can hit save, but the other thing I can do is swipe. So we know that swipe events are popular now, and that's nice because that removes yet another widget from our screen. Notice when I swipe, it also changes the background color of this screen to indicate that the save was successful. Now, as soon as I try a new plant, maybe we'll go with a pawpaw. So we'll go with an Asimina triloba. Okay, it recognizes this is a new plant record, and it changes the color back to that kind of light brown to indicate, okay, I'm on a new record. So how could I go edit an old record? Well, potentially I could swipe the other way. So that's one thing I'm working on now, is the ability to integrate swipe events. And then we can get rid of the save button as well. Then we have even less clutter on our screen. So, show saved before, show saved afterwards, and then I showed you that one live as well. And here's also a look at how things look on a map. So we can hit that one. Nothing crazy there. Map is typically going to be something that consumes all of the screen real estate. So we're typically going to use the entire thing for a map. And of course, we want to think about things like how much battery life we're using on the GPS and stuff like that. So all important considerations. So we'll go ahead and let the map render. I have a couple breakpoints I'm just playing through on my other screen here. That's why it's taking just a moment, because I forgot I have this running in the debugger, but no worries. So there's a blue point, which indicates a plant that I have GPSed, where a red point will indicate a plant that was GPSed by somebody else on Plant Places. So that's show saved afterwards. Okay, just a couple more thoughts here. Show saved the most recent version. And I wanted to, let's see, sure enough, there's our map where we are. It's not where I am right now at this moment, but that's a map with one of our plants. I can click on that. I can click on the label, and it's going to take us back to Plant Places Web and give us a little look and feel of some more details on this plant in a web-friendly, kind of a mobile-friendly web page that we see here. Okay, so what are some usability lessons learned? Number one, minimize clicks. No splash screen, no login screen, no main menu. Just take the user right into the action. A really good example, I think, for this is Shazam. If you're in your car, you hear a song, you open the app, you press anywhere, the song name comes up. Very quick, very few clicks. Put search and results on the same page. Don't think of having a search screen and a results screen. Really, usually search just needs to be text. Just one field of text that will search across a database. Use autocomplete where possible, and use autocomplete to determine, is this a new screen or a new entry, or is it an existing entry that we're picking? Minimize widgets. Use things like the broadcast receiver so that the phone knows when to synchronize. We don't have to ask the user for this. Autosave removes the save button. Just allow a swipe or a gesture to allow the user to get back to a previous record and edit it if need be. That also goes with the Android theme or the Apple theme of make the decision for me, but let me have the final say. So we can always go back and edit existing records. Minimize text. We know pictures are faster than words, and in new Android it's very easy to create buttons that have images on them instead of text that we're more used to traditionally. So pictures are faster than words. Take advantage of those images that we can put on buttons. Use photos instead of file names. So you see here kind of a consistent iconography that we have across all these buttons. And then minimize messages to the user. Don't do things like pop-ups. Instead, change the color of the screen, but also keep in mind that different users have different abilities. So you might want to change the color and vibrate the phone. If someone is visually impaired, it gives kind of a backup. So use those visual or sound or touch type clues instead of always putting text on the user. Okay, so that's a look at usability. I want to show you another app just quickly, another app that I wrote. This one is Plant Flashcards. And this is what I consider the holy grail of usability because it's essentially a one-screen app. So you see a plant, you click the plant name. Okay, this one we're going to say white cypress. Ooh, I guessed wrong. You see it's a Himalayan pine. So my guess is green. The correct one is, my guess is red. Correct is green. Click again, get a new photo. And this photo I just clicked to kind of maximize. It looks like some kind of juniper. So I'm going to say single seed juniper. Sure enough, if I want another picture, I simply swipe left to right. Now, of course, this is running in my debugger, so it's going to be a little bit slow. But I can just swipe right to left to show a new picture, or left to right to go back to the first picture, and even left one more time to take myself to preferences. Okay, we'll go to one more, and then I'll show one more thing. So here's one, some other kind of tree. Probably a white cypress pine. Yep, got that one right. Now you see when I click on this, it increments the thumbs up here and the thumbs down there if something goes wrong. So if I guessed right, over here. If I guessed wrong, over here. So this is essentially a single screen application. Now I did add one more screen where you can tap on that thumb and you can get a list of the plants that you guessed right. You can click on that list. You can see their detail page on Plant Places. So I did add a couple of more screens there. Also on your wrong guesses, you can do that. But it's essentially a single screen app. So think about that. Think about how much you can do in an application in just one screen or at the absolute maximum 2 screens. Don't go crazy and try to do all kinds of stuff in all kinds of 12-screen applications, something like that. It'll be a lot of work that you just don't want to do. Nonetheless, this is a little look at usability. Surely I'll have another version of this video many years in the future when I think of other things I could have done better. But more importantly, I'm curious on your feedback. So if you say, gosh, why didn't you do it this way? Or, gosh, I found this worked really well. By all means, let me know. Put a comment in the video. Tell me what you would have done differently or any tricks that you have found that work very well. And let's share with each other. I'm curious to see what you have to say. Thank you.